Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am so excited because we are doing a complete upgrade on my Fortnite gaming slash streaming PC. As you can see, we got the Intel 13th gen processor here with the Z690 motherboard. It's about to get cracking. Let's go ahead and get on into it. So starting off, we got the SK Hynix Platinum P41. It's a Gen 4 SSD, super fast. I went ahead and got the 1 TB model over the 2 TB because I'm just gonna have Fortnite on it. I'm just gonna be streaming with a separate PC and recording. I don't really need that much storage on this PC. It's just meant to be blazing fast. SK Hynix makes their own dies, so it should be super fast. All right, then from GSkill, we got the Trident Z DDR5. It's a 6000 megahertz CL30 kit, super fast. I went with the RGB all black. It looks pretty good on this board from what I've seen pictures on Google. Yeah, that's pretty much it on the memory. All right, and as I mentioned before, we got the 13th gen. It is a 13700KF, so it does not have the integrated graphics, but I don't need that obviously. I have a 2080 Ti. But the benefit of this is I currently have a 8700K in my system. This is obviously way faster. It's going to be a huge upgrade. It's not like I'm coming from 10th or 11th gen or something to this. It's going to be quite a few gens I'm skipping. So if you also have some sort of build like that where you are skipping numerous generations anywhere, I'd say like 7th, 8th, and 9th gen, anywhere from that period to the new 13th gen, this will kind of show you what kind of performance jump you'll get in Fortnite. All right, and lastly, of course, we have our motherboard, the ROG Strix Z690i. It's an ITX board, which fits in my case. I went with Z690 over the Z790 because one, the 790 was $60 more than this board, if I remember correctly. And it really offers no features that I'm going to be using. I only have one Gen 4 SSD, so all the extra Gen 4 lanes from 790 really don't benefit me. As far as performance goes, this board will overclock and performing the same as the C7. So that's what we're rocking. All right, so now I want to go ahead and show you guys my current build, see what it looks like while it's on and running, and also I'm going to show you I'm going to kind of take the tempered glass panels off of it. Then after that, we'll go ahead and open up the new motherboard. I'll do a quick run through of the features and everything that I'm going to be using, and then we'll go ahead and get into the build. After the build, I'm going to be doing some benchmarks, and I won't be showing the benchmarks, but I will go ahead and throw up some charts so you guys can see really the difference between the 8700K versus 13700K, which of course, I mean, we're not comparing last gen to this gen. It's quite a few gens we jumped, but like I said before, at least you'll see what kind of performance jump you would get. All right, guys, and this is what my build currently looks like as it's on. I will do an after video as well, so you can see my motherboard currently, all the IO is exposed. The new ASUS board that's going to be covered up. I think it'll look a lot better. This is currently the Z370i MSI Carbon board with the 8700K. Got Noctua fans on the bottom, Corsair fans on the front and top, which has a 280mm AIO. This is the Corsair 280X. And that's what she looks like. Wow, this thing, even the box looks beautiful. I don't know what to say. Let's go ahead and get it unboxed. Show you guys how it comes and what it looks like. Maybe I should go ahead and get this out of here first. So this kind of out of the way. It's on my keyboard, don't mind that. Apex Pro TKL, by the way. Not sponsored. Just kidding. Alright, so it comes in this anti-static bag, and if I can get it out. Wow, that thing is beautiful. I don't know what else to say. Gorgeous. That's so, I mean, it's so dense. I feel like it's much heavier than my current board. Alright, I kind of just threw that on the ground. Probably shouldn't have done that because I would like to stick up here. I can throw the board on it. See, this is throwing me off. Okay, look, they actually installed this incorrectly. The board goes this way. Yeah, they installed it perfectly upside down. So ASUS quality control. Sure you install your CPU socket holders right side up. I don't know what to say. That's a big box for such a tiny board, I'm not gonna lie. But I guess they want it to be safe, you know? So, what is this right here, you ask? I believe, yep, this is the daughter board. So this motherboard, because it's ITX so tiny, comes with a little daughter board. I'm sure you've already seen a million reviews with this. Boom. This daughter board plugs in right here. Ooh, and I don't like the way it feels when it plugs in. It's kind of rough and feels a little janky, but it does go in. And I guess once it's in, it's a little solid. I don't know. It just worries me. All right, and so we've got the Z690 motherboard. I don't know if you guys have heard about the problems with Intel 12 13th gen. The stock, what they call ILM, basically thing that holds the CPU in the socket, it provides uneven pressure. It provides too much pressure in the center of the socket, which causes bowing of the socket over time. To prevent that, Der Bauer created a contact frame that provides even pressure across the CPU. However, it's $60 and I'm cheap. So I got the Thermalright, is that correct? Thermalright CPU contact frame. Same thing. We're gonna be installing that as well with our new CPU. Hopefully getting us better thermals. What I am going to do though, I'm not doing it for this video. I'm going to be installing this for another video. So be sure to like and subscribe to check that out. I'm going to be installing it normally for this video. And for the other video, we'll check out the difference. See if we actually got a decrease in temps. And if it actually works. But for now, we're not doing that. All right, so you also have a triple stack. It's of pretty much heat sinks and M.2 drives. So right now we're gonna go ahead and install the top M.2 drive, which is actually M.2.1, even though it doesn't seem like it. You would think M.1 is closer to the board, but closer to the board is actually the chipset, and it has a heat sink on it. Then a lot of your audio capacitors and everything is actually on one of these boards, along with fan headers and RGB headers, USB headers, I believe. Yeah, and this is the back of the board with the IO. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 USBs, which is good for me because my current board only has 5. 2.5 gig LAN. I don't know, these are like Gen 3.1.2, whatever. 2 Type C's, HDMI, not gonna ever use, reset BIOS, SP diff out. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get our SSD installed. We got our trusty iFixit kit, of course. All right, so first, you just have to remove this screw and this screw, I believe. 2 screws and you get the heatsink off. Alright, a couple screws and you have your thermal pad right here. I believe you're going to be peeling that off. But first, let's go ahead and get this open. Alright, we've got it open and go ahead and slide it out. Oh, they bamboozled us. It's on the other side. Oh, no, actually, it's on either side. It fell out. Oh, it's somewhere in there. Ah, that's how they got you. There's actually 2 layers, so be careful. I want that to fly out. Wow, look how amazing that looks. Like a matte finish to it. Looks super nice. All right, go ahead and carefully get that out of there. We're going to lift our protective film here. Install this. ASUS made it super easy. You don't use any screws. You just twist it into place. Just like that. And boom, it is installed. Go ahead and press it down a little bit. Make sure it makes good contact with the thermal pad, which actually I don't think it's touching the thermal pad whatsoever. Okay, that works, I guess. Maybe I'm not supposed to take that off. Yeah, no contact whatsoever. So maybe I just kind of leave this on there. And it's only if you install it the other way. I'm really not sure. That stuff is really sticky. Oh, okay, we'll just leave that on there for then. I guess we just take it off the other one only. The other one only. Alright, then we get our heatsink again. This thing is just pure metal, man. It's quite nice, actually. Take our protective film off this heatsink as well, if I can get it. Which is kind of hard, only because I'm wearing gloves. The safety thing, I like to wear them. Alright, our film is still on there, and should be able to just go in. Oops, forgot to remove the sticker. Don't forget to do that, I guess. So yeah, if you do this, remember to remove the protective sticker before you put this back on. Otherwise, you won't be able to take it off. All right, then we got it on. You can see the SSD in there. It's kind of hard to focus. Right in there. It's a little sandwich in there, but it is what it is. I mean, not sandwich, but so much bent. It's a little bent. You can't see. Hopefully that doesn't harm it over time. Should be fine. All right, and that is pretty much it for the motherboard. I got the SSD in there. Build. I'll show you the inside of my case with it powered off, and then we'll finish up the build. So I think it turned out great. I mean, I didn't change much aesthetically other than update the motherboard, and I changed some RAM, which I mean, I already had Trident Z anyway, so it really didn't change on the looks. Either way, the board still looks amazing in or out of the case. Unfortunately, I am going to be returning the board. Since I've gotten it, I've had like a million issues with the board. I'll explain it in a second when I get to the benchmarks, but luckily, I already have the solution for that. And that solution is this guy right here. This is a Z690 Unify X, which should solve all the issues I was having with the ITX board. So I'm completely redoing the build, and I'm gonna do another build update video with the Unify X and the Razer Edition O11D. So definitely like and subscribe so you don't miss that video, because I promise it's gonna be a good one. Anyway, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for, the benchmarks. Alright, so for our first test, this is something that's going to show us the maximum FPS that our CPU can give us in Fortnite. What I like to do is go in creative, and I go to my own map and stand in a very specific spot and look at a very specific point on the map. I set the frame rate to unlimited and just let the CPU idle for 6 minutes staring at that one spot. And it's going to show me our maximum frame rate, our average maximum, and then our 1% low. So for the 8700K, you can see we were getting an average of 600 and a 1% low of 441. With the 13700K, we were actually breaking 1000 FPS. We're at 1111 FPS with a 1% low of 831, which is almost double what the 8700K was doing. For smooth frame rates and for smooth gameplay, I mean, really the most important thing is the 1% low. The better your 1% low, the less your frames are going to drop, and the more overall smooth the game is going to feel. So far everything is looking great. No issues here, right? It looks awesome. So let's go ahead and get into the next slide, and I'll show you where we start to get into the issues. So for this test is a 6-minute free build. What I do is I go into another creative map, and I start the benchmark, and I just free build for 6 minutes. At the end of the 6 minutes, I just record what we got. The 8700K, the 1% low, looks like it was dipping down to 227 frames per second, which I play on a 360 hertz monitor, so I really would like the 1% lows to stay above 360 hertz, which I know in Fortnite is very hard, but that's what we're shooting for. The average FPS on the 8700K was 421, which the average is above the 360 hertz target, but of course I want that 1% low to be above it so I can have that really smooth, consistent gameplay. Now the 13700K is hitting those marks. The 1% low is 536, so we're definitely clearing the 360 hertz mark, and of course the average is through the roof at 860 FPS. When I was free building with this, it felt insane. It was so smooth, so clean. I mean, it just really was worth it, the upgrade, as far as smoothness, clarity, being able to edit fast, everything. It was just a whole different game. Now, if this was all I cared about, I would be happy with the CPU. I'd be happy with my upgrade. It was definitely worth it. I mean, I got what I wanted, but in the next few slides, you're gonna see exactly why I'm returning the CPU and why I'm going to the Unify X board. Alright, so this slide shows a 5 solo win average. So what I do is I start a solo game, and when I land is when I start the benchmark. If you don't know, as you're flying from the bus or as the game is loading in, there's a lot of dips in frame rate, and it's not because the game is running bad or your CPU can't run the game or anything. It's just that it's loading a lot of textures and files and all this, so there is going to be dips. So I wait till I land. Once I land, then I start the benchmark. Once the benchmark started, I play the entire game out, and usually if average Fortnite game is about 22 minutes. So that's 22 minutes of averaging out the frame rates, and then I end the benchmark if I get the win. Then I would take those 5 solo wins, average them out, and these are the numbers that we got. So the 8700K was hitting a 1% low of 137. So here's where you can start to see that we're not getting all the numbers we were getting in creative. Of course, creative, you're gonna get like insane numbers. You're not gonna get those in the actual game. It's very hard to get extremely high frame rates in Fortnite. I mean, even I play on performance mode, it's just hard to hit those extremely high frame rates. So the average FPS for our 8700K was 267. I mean, it's not even getting to our 360 hertz of our monitor, right? So we definitely did improve over our 8700K to the 13700K. K, we went from 137 to 197 on the 1% lows. So here's where you can start to see that the upgrade isn't as good as I was hoping it to be. I was really hoping to at least hit 240 FPS on the 1% lows in game. And that is because my monitor has a ULMB sync. Your game has to stay at a constant 240 FPS to work. So because I'm dipping down below 240 FPS and hitting 197 1% of the time, it's just not consistent enough for that to work. Now, on the average frame rate, we did do better. So on the 8700K, we have an average of 267 frames. The 13700K is 346. Now, I do have a 360 FPS limit when I'm actually playing in game. So it wasn't set to unlimited. If I set it to unlimited, I would have a better average. So the max that this CPU would hit in game is only 360. So the fact that we're only 14, I mean, it was at 360 a majority of the time. It would just dip down every once in a while. And as you can see, our 1% low is much better, so it's dipping down way less often. And unfortunately, I'm not hitting that at least 240 FPS target with the 1% lows. So unfortunately, I'm a little dissatisfied so far. And the next two slides, you'll see exactly what is going on. All right, and here's our 3D Mark time swipe. If you guys are familiar with that test, it's a really popular benchmark. Here is where you're gonna start to see that the 13700K is not being pushed to where it should be. And it is due to the Z690i motherboard. So as you can see in our CPU score, the 13700K is only scoring about 1,000 points higher than the 8700K. Which it should be way through the roof, like double the speed of the 8700K. Unfortunately, I'm not getting that speed. As you can see here in the Cinebench R23 score, my multi-core score in the 13700K is 13,830 over 9,780 on the 8700K. My roommate has a 3800X from AMD, and he's getting 13,000 on his CPU. So when I saw that, I knew something was up. So what's going on is that this Z690i board has a 10+1 power phase design versus the 19+2 power phase on the Unify X. So having such little power phases and having only one CPU connector versus two on the Unify X, I believe this board is limiting the potential of the 13700K. It's in Cinebench, I noticed that it's only giving the CPU about 140-50 watts, whereas the Unify X will give it the maximum all the way to like 250 watts plus, depending on your cooling, how much you can push it. So I'm not getting the full speed out of my 13700K due to this board. And that is why I'm returning it. Yes, it's a beast. Yes, the new processor is amazing. Yes, I'm getting way better FPS than I was before. But you know, I spend a lot of money on this stuff and I want to get the full performance out of what I pay for. So unfortunately, due to all that, I will be sending this board back and we're going to be doing the Unify X build. Lastly, this is our temperatures that we were getting. You can see the 8700K with all the same cooler, same setup, everything was running way hotter than our 13700K, which tells me that our 13700K is just not being pushed to what it could be. I have a 280mm AIO. With the 13700K, if it's being pushed to max, that thing should be getting maxed out. I mean, I should be seeing like 95 degrees max here, but unfortunately I don't because the CPU just isn't being pushed to where it should be. So that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, overall, I'm extremely happy with the CPU, the RAM, and the everything else. Unfortunately, the motherboard is just not where it's at. Also, a couple other issues I had with the motherboard is the M.2 slot did not work. First, the upper slot, there's two slots, there's an upper and a lower. The upper slot didn't work from day one. Never works, never would recognize M.2 there. I had to always put it M.2 the second slot. Also, the RAM, although if you go to Trident Z website and you look up their 6000 megahertz CL30 RAM, it shows that this board supports it. However, no matter what I did, I could not get the XMP profile to work on this board. So unfortunately, due to all those factors, I'm just kind of have a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just done with this board. I want to get the full potential out of my processor, so I'm just going to be sending it back. So yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned for that Unify X build. It is going to be a monster. We're doing it in the O11D Razor Edition. Like I said earlier, my favorite color is green, so if you guys are excited for that, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Have a great day.